Sunny? Is Sunny 5? Alright, I'm gonna watch Sunny. You said Sunny 5.
This is Rag Reynolds. He's a Scottish YouTuber who's convinced that the entire country of Australia doesn't really exist.
There's no proof that it exists. It's a fantasy. It's no more real than Narnia.
And while he'd eventually get into arguments with other large Australian creators, host podcasts in which he'd tell Australians that they weren't real, and even attempt to visit the non-existent country.
What does that mean by they aren't real? Like, does he mean that they're like... He's probably gonna tell me, like, robots?
His conspiracy theory began to develop on the 22nd of April 2014, when he'd start to express his hatred for the country.
If you could destroy one country in the world, which would it be? This is, without a doubt, the easiest question to ever answer, because the answer is Australia. That country
but that's not real, though.
Of space. That country is the worst place on Earth. Australia. Bad.
That clip comes
what the fuck did Australia do to this nigga to make him hate it so much?
To one of the earliest videos posted to
Kangaroo had to kick him in his,
and it highlights it in the
stomach or something,
although
bro.
he clearly hated Australia, he
Knocked
still
him on his
considered it a real
ass.
place. Yet this hatred wasn't only confined to his YouTube channel. He'd post tweets such as a public service, I will personally burn Australia to the ground, let's send Australia to space, as well as one final banger reading, if Australia wins Eurovision, I will drown one puppy and burn one baby for every point they win by. Rag Reynolds didn't specify exactly where this
is crazy.
Come from, although as time progressed, his
why
dislike
do you have hatred for Ukraine? I know the shut the rest is crazy,
after
but
initially stating that he'd like to burn Australia
I would just want them to squash this shit, bro. No beef, bro.
Down with Australia, in which he began to outline why he hated the country so much, with his first point being that we simply
the whole country
have an accent.
Australians have the second most irritating accents on earth, beaten only by South Africans. Every time I hear
bro, is that his accent?
Say, "My," I just want to punch them in their good-for-nothing liver, since it's common knowledge that all Australians are alcoholics. A punch to an Australian's liver would most
they
likely
do be cloud chasing though, because
before he display a map showing that Australians
for no
have
reason
an
just put
average
somebody in
IQ
jail.
of 60, being the lowest out
and
of
I heard
any country
Snoop Dogg
in the entire world.
Pause. I heard Snoop Dogg had a story that he was in Australia and like he was smoking weed and it's like, no, that wasn't Australia. Nah, not Ukraine. Smoking weed in Ukraine and it's like it's not illegal there or something like that. And they caught him and the police got him and he's like they let him go. And then he came back and as soon as he came back he went to like the police station and there's like, we just want a picture and you can go. Like that's crazy. There's cloud chasing for real.
How dumb Australians are. The image on screen now is an IQ map of the world. As you can see, Australia has the lowest average IQ out of every single country on the planet.
Yeah, while these points showed that Rag Reynolds still believed in Australia's existence, it wasn't going to stay like this for much longer. Only 8 months after uploading Down with Australia, Rag Reynolds' hatred for the country would transform into the belief that Australia didn't exist at all.
I was certainly pretty mad over the existence of Australia, and then without warning, I came across some guy on Twitter claiming that Australia does not exist. This was a theory I had never even considered prior to that moment. I just found out that
music makes me feel like somebody's behind me. I'm so glad there's a camera right here, bro.
I can't believe I was mad about that place for so long.
I just feel like somebody's just staring at me, bro.
Rag Reynolds,
oh my god. When I get on chills, bro, I'm gonna go crazy.
Exactly an original idea. He even claimed in the previous clip that
yeah,
his
I might be
theory
on
had been
crack, bro. I'm
by
scared.
another user on Twitter. In fact, the conspiracy theory dates all the way back to November of 2006, when the following post was made to.
It's my birthday! It's my birthday! Not 2006 though, but November 10th.
The Flat Earth forums. Most of you have probably been brought up believing in the imaginary land called Australia. I bet many of you even learned about it in school. Well, the fact is that Australia doesn't really exist. Everything you've ever heard about it was made up, and any pictures of it you have seen were faked by the government. I'm sure you've even talked to people on the internet who claim to be from Australia. They are really secret government agents who are surfing the internet to enforce
shit don't make no sense, no young boy.
We're not exactly sure why the government made up an imaginary continent, or why it is trying to convince the world that this continent is real, but we can tell you that we know for a fact that Australia doesn't really exist. Please join us in our quest to convince the world of the truth. However, as you might be able to gather from this reply, there wasn't exactly all that much evidence for the theory. There was one individual who posted a world map with and without Australia in the bottom right hand corner. While this didn't exactly—
That does look real. That does look real. That does look real. Their birth exactly a month after. Okay. I didn't even do that one. That's not. I didn't even do that one. I'm going to do. I ain't mean to do that one. That's fire though, for real.
Evidence, the lack of proof for the theory hasn't stopped a select group of people.
Your birthday's in 2 days? Bro, I was gonna go to a pumpkin patch. You probably doing shit on your birthday anyways, so it don't even matter. Even though I'm supposed to stream on the 10th. But damn. I'm supposed to stream on the 10th, but I'm not going to, because I'm probably going to pumpkin patch. Or I might not. I don't know yet. But you doing stuff on your birthday, so it don't even matter. Which means you ain't. It's your birthday, you gotta do something. You bugging.
People from believing it to be true. In April of 2018, more than 200 individuals gathered in the UK city of Birmingham to discuss whether or not Australia was real. And while it's easy to laugh and scorn from a distance, one of the attendees actually had a pretty reasonable argument for why
I want to go to pumpkin patch, so
Australia is not real. It's a hoax made for us to believe that Britain moved over their criminals to some place.
But
in reality, all these criminals were loaded off the ships into the waters, drowning before they could see land ever again. It's a cover-up for one of the greatest mass murders in history, made by one of the most prominent empires. Now, to give credit where credit is due, this post establishes a pretty solid motive for why someone might have wanted to fake the country. However, as the post continued, it only got wackier and the credibility began to crumble. Your Australian friends, they're all actors and computer-generated personas, part of the plot to trick the world. If you think you've ever been to Australia, you're terribly wrong. The plane pilots are all in on this and have in all actuality only flown you to islands close nearby, or in some cases parts of South America, where they have cleared space and hired actors to act out as real Australians. However, this is the point at which Rag Reynolds begins to stand out.
This nigga's just... I'm about to throw up because this nigga's just talking, bro. This nigga's just talking, bro. He's not even saying nothing.
As unique as he actually has his own theory for why Australia has been
Africa. Like, what are you talking about?
The founder of New Zealand hated how his people sounded when they spoke. It was necessary to make their country known as anything other than
I'm scared though. This nigga's just gonna pop up out of nowhere.
So he got his council together and
he seemed like he crazy. He probably watching this video.
All of the worst parts of their
That's why them blondes is shut.
50 times worse.
Niggas can't know where I'm at.
The minds of 100 citizens with the lowest IQs, and then put those people into an abandoned city together with cameras on them 24/7. New Zealand had essentially set out to create a faux reality show in order to fool the world into thinking that there was a place worse than their homeland.
Rag Reynolds would then go on to add that Australia's unique wildlife, such as kangaroos, had been roboticized by New Zealand in order to reinforce the lie.
They decided it might be a good idea to start introducing strange new animals, so they created the robotic creature that we know today as a kangaroo.
With his evidence for this claim being a debate.org poll.
A poll shows that people are beginning to actually wake up.
I told you a kangaroo did something to this nigga, and that's why he's mad at them. The kangaroo hit him in his shit and he died. Not died, but it was done, bruh. His bones was broken, his chest was done for. The nigga he just has hate for Australia after that, bro. And it's not true, because you don't want to get embarrassed, you feel me? I say the same thing if a kangaroo, you know, you feel me? Kangaroo knocked me on my shit on my body, you feel me? It's not real. It's fake. It was fake. That's what I say too. So I don't blame the nigga.
Realize the truth that there's no Australia. 37%
there's no Australia.
think yes, but 63% say no. A compelling argument is made here by a user going by the name of Massive Dump.
Rag Reynolds' conspiracy theory piece will receive a dislike ratio of
I say
over
the same
94%.
Thing. I'm not saying I agree.
The comments were surprisingly supportive.
Being
an Australian myself, I completely agree
him.
with this theory. I'm totally not a secret robot living on planet Oogly Boogly. Being from Australia, I'm shocked that such a genius found out our secret. We are all not real. Thank you for enlightening me on the heinous truth about Australia. I no longer think that it exists. Thank you, Rag Reynolds. However, while these Australians had successfully been convinced that they didn't actually exist, others needed a little more persuading, which led to a Rag Reynolds podcast episode on which he would invite 3 different Australians to argue about whether or not they existed.
I'm joined by self-proclaimed Australians as they're going to attempt to explain to me just why they think that Australia is a real place.
While the people on the podcast made some pretty reasonable points, Rag Reynolds couldn't be convinced, and if anything, judging by these videos, it would only further strengthen his belief that Australia wasn't real. However, it would be with these videos that the hornet's nest was stirred up, as shortly after posting them, other larger YouTubers began to make videos on the stupidity of Rag Reynolds' theory. The 3rd largest YouTuber in Australia, Laserbeam, would upload a video titled "It Turns Out Australia is Fake."
No one's given literally any evidence. Nothing. They've just yelled at me and said it's fake.
Prompting a response Reynolds titled Dear Laserbeam, You Are Delusional.
He thinks he is from a place that he is not really from. He is clearly just drugged
What does that even
up.
mean?
He does not seem to understand logic, reason. He ignores facts.
So then what is his argument if I said the same thing about him? You feel me? It shit just doesn't add up and don't make sense.
Which was followed by Rag Reynolds getting into a
How do you know
full-blown
you're not
YouTube war with one of
drugged?
Australia's most patriotic creators, Isaac Butterfield, leading both of them to argue about the
You were
theory
not,
on
but
Isaac's
in his
podcast.
point,
Maybe I've been coming at you from the wrong orientation, so I hope that maybe today I could fix
this
that.
nigga's a clown.
It seemed as though Rag Reynolds was never going to change his mind on Australia's existence. However, shortly after beefing with these larger creators, the first sign of him coming back to reality appeared, specifically when he'd upload a video simply titled I
Wait,
Was
so he changed his
Wrong.
And now
mind?
it's all starting to make a bit more sense. And now I don't know what to think. My main piece of evidence, my own experience, is not actual evidence. It's not what I thought it was. All I have left is speculation and theories.
And when looking at the comments on the video, one highlighted the most effective way for Rag Reynolds to confirm whether or not his suspicions were true.
That's
Why not
actually the
book a
right way it's
ticket
supposed to be.
Australia
It's supposed to
see
be
it for
flipped.
real, and this is exactly what he would do, although apparently this
Wait.
would only reinforce to Rag Reynolds
Oh, I
that the
did just
country
flip
was
it.
in
Wait, did
fact
I?
fake.
I didn't.
It explained all of this
Wait,
in
what
a
did I
video
flip?
titled I Went to
Oh,
Australia,
it's a
It Isn't
display.
Real, in which it explained that during his trip, he had seen some things leading him to believe that it was a real place,
was like,
although
why didn't it
ultimately
flip?
he
Why does it
believed
look
that
like
he
it's
had
the
been drugged
same?
by the New Zealand government, and the whole thing was simply a hallucination.
When people go to Australia, they're actually landing in New Zealand. They are drugged. They imagine all of the experiences there.
Naturally, his audience began to call him out by stating that he never even went there in the first place, resulting in Rag Reynolds taking a polygraph test to confirm that he had in fact been to Australia.
I am a truth talker. Everything I say in my videos is the truth, and this polygraph test has just confirmed that.
However, by this point, it seemed as though the criticism was getting
Polygraph
too
tests
much for
usually
him. In
never
September of
lie.
2020, Rag Reynolds would upload a video titled I'm Sorry Australia, in which he'd explained that he was struggling to deal with the negativity.
The hate I get, folks, the abuse I get in my comment section on every single video, people disliking my videos, my Instagram DMs, there's people being horrible to me. I don't know where it ends. It just goes
Okay,
on
that's
and
crazy.
it goes on, and it never
You're
seems to
getting
stop.
horrible.
And that maybe
'cause
after everything,
niggas
he was in
saying
the
a place
wrong and it
doesn't
was
exist
time
is
to
crazy.
apologize.
So maybe you people are right. It's time for me to issue the first apology of my entire
You should
life.
This
apologize
apology
for
would
it.
come in one final video titled Australia Does Exist, during which, after all of this time, Rag Reynolds would finally admit that Australia was a real place.
Australia
Does he actually
is
believe
real.
that, though?
Of course
Or are you
it's a
just saying
real
that 'cause
place.
niggas
You can
was
see
personal?
pictures of it from satellites in space. They have lovely wildlife, and I would like to apologise to all Australians out there. Australians, Australia, I am sorry.
Only Rag Reynolds was very careful about the date on which this video was uploaded. April 1st, also known as April Fool's
I knew it was
Brainwashed.
Day. And to this day,
I
Rag
knew it
Reynolds
was a
is
little twist. That's fine.
still convinced that Australia isn't real.
No, that was actually fire.